All right, so I was just watching this video with Rob Parker and Skip Bayless, and them two, they were discussing the whole drama that is Odell Beckham Jr. And something surprised me with this segment. I 100% agree with Rob Parker. 100% is a little bit too much. Let's say 97, because there is one point that I didn't agree with, and I'll say what it is when he speaks.
The Giants reportedly came close to trading Odell Beckham Jr. last year, but they ultimately kept him because of the Patriots. Chris Sims said yesterday on Pro Football Talk that New England's interest in the star wide receiver made the Giants think twice about moving him. Trade rumors have continued to surround Beckham, but the Giants have said they're keeping him. Rob Parker back with us. Rob, what does this tell?
And something that I didn't bring up before, this apparently was reported that the Giants said this. The Patriots' interest in Odell was the reason why they didn't want to trade Odell. That's not true. I've already said that they traded Odell because they didn't have anything to replace him with. You still have to put a product on the field that fans want to see. That's how ticket sales start dipping. I mean, I'm not saying this is what happened to the Chargers 2 years ago, but this would happen to the Giants. People will stop buying your shit. People will stop coming. I mean, your ticket sales will hurt. It will suffer. And they didn't want that to happen. They needed to still put something out in the field that the fans want to see. And the fans love Odell Beckham. They love him. I mean, he may be a little childish at times. He may be a little, flamboyant for attention. But you ask any Giants fan, and there have been a bevy of Giants fans in the sports media that have said, you don't trade this dude. Now, there have been some people who aren't Giants fans that say that you should trade him because holding on to him is it's not really doing you any service. You're doing yourself a disservice by keeping him because of, I guess, the distraction that he poses being on the team. But I'm gonna listen to it.
First, I'm going to say this, Skip. If they don't upgrade the quarterback position, and I mean get their quarterback of the future in the draft or make some sort of move away from Eli Manning, the Giants will trade Odell Beckham Jr. I believe that. Because if you watch Eli and Odell OBJ, he can't get him the ball. I mean, it's not working. It's a waste. It would be a total waste. Now, if they decide that they get a quarterback and they figure it out, there's no way I would ever trade this. I just wouldn't trade him. And shame on the Giants that they need the New England Patriots to pick up the phone, make a call.
All right, I'm going to cut that short right there. And that's one of the things that, I believe if the Giants were to keep Odell, the only way they'll keep him is if they have somebody that can get him the ball, that they feel confident enough keeping him. Keeping somebody that is expensive. Odell is an expensive asset, man. In order for you to want to keep it, you have to know that it's going to pay off in the long run. Not just in monetary payoff. I'm talking championships. Building a legacy like New England. Because every team wants to build the legacy like New England. But in order to do it, man, I guess in their minds you need the players to do it. Really, you need the coach. Your coach has to be that first piece. And then it should be like dominoes, a domino effect where each piece after that falls in line. And, it's hard to replicate that because you would have to demand so much respect from everybody and you would have to almost crucify players. Not verbally, but as far as, you would have to cut them, release them, set them, and you would have to deal with the backlash. And, it's so hard to replicate what they do in New England, but, it all starts with the head coach. And first I would say they need to find a coach that can, one, build the team, and that could then build a culture sufficient enough to win. Build a winning environment.
And inquire about OBJ and then go, oh, wait a minute. What are we thinking? Giants, don't you have the numbers yourself? Other than Julio
And that's the 3% of that I didn't agree with Rob Parker. It's not that they didn't give him up because of New England. They didn't give him up. They didn't give... I already said this. They didn't give him up because they didn't have anything to replace him with. In order to give up a valuable asset, you need to have something there to keep you afloat. So then the pieces that you do trade for, they do, I guess, return that value that you thought that it would return. It's hard for me to believe that they would just trade Odell Beckham with nothing else planned for this team. They have something planned for this team. And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that the Giants, during the season, quietly have been shopping this dude, seeing the most that they can get out of every team. I wouldn't be surprised. And they may still be working on a blockbuster deal that sends them a lot of return for him. Who knows? But I believe the New England Patriots whole storyline, that's just a smokescreen to really cover up what's been going on. I guess they don't want people to know that, we're only keeping them here until we have the comfortability to know that we'll be fine without them, and then they move them. Unless they can find a quarterback of the future. If they can find a quarterback that has the impact that Russell Wilson had on the Seahawks when he first got there, I think they'll keep him. They'll keep him at least for a little while.
Since he got into the NFL? Yep. Skip, how many touchdowns does he have in his 59 games that he's played? He has 44 touchdowns in 59 games, and he's missed a lot of games with the injuries. I get all that. But a guy of his talent and caliber does not grow on trees, so it's not a guy that you should be able to move away from, especially if you have a quarterback that can get him the football. So I think that it's crazy that it took the Patriots for the Giants to finally come back and go, maybe we should pump the brakes and not get too crazy about getting rid of him. And he's not the kind of guy, I don't look at him as a bad guy. There's a lot of guys, he's emotional, he's a little bit of a diva, but he's not a bad guy. I've never heard that, right? A bad bone in his body, Skip. I also don't think that he doesn't work hard. I've never heard teammates say, this guy's a dog. He doesn't appreciate being in the National Football League and doesn't work hard to maximize his ability. None of that.
And that's one of the things that I didn't like about the whole character assassination that people were doing to this kid. Because he's not a bad guy. I mean, he just had a couple of childish, antics that, people just took and ran with. The whole hotel thing, if it could have been avoided, it should have been avoided. But when you're young, you have that kind of money, you're going to make mistakes, man. People will teach you how to make money, but they never really teach you how to hold on to it and deal with it when you have it. But Odell's not a bad dude, man. He reminds me of T.O. T.O. didn't have any of the off the field issues that Odell had. But his sideline issues and his, I guess, locker room issues, Odell doesn't display that level. So I kind of, neither one of those guys are bad guys. They're super fucking talented. They take their job very seriously, I'm pretty sure. But just their personality, the personality that people see, and when T.O. came out with that reality show, I don't really watch reality TV like that. I really don't. But when T.O. came out with his reality show, I did check it out. Because, I watched this dude play for so long, and I admired his ability. Even though I didn't really like his antics on the sideline, I admired his ability. So watching a reality show or whatever, just, even if it is fake, man, just watching him off the field, I don't know, man, it kind of it was a breath of fresh air. Because this dude is completely down to earth. How he is with his friends, just how not the same egotistical person that he displayed in the locker room. Because any athlete will tell you, man, when you get on the football field, when you go in the locker room, when you're in that environment, a different person comes out. Like Brian Dawkins used to say that, and he's probably one of the most respected Eagles players from that little stretch they had where they were just running the NFC. But Brian Dawkins said that. He said, I'm a nice, calm guy when I'm not playing. When I'm playing, I'm an animal. I'm a different person. You know, like, and that's how it is, man. Like, you got to channel some kind of animalistic personality to kind of survive in professional sports. And even in his own flamboyant way, T.O. had an animal personality, man, because I don't know, man. It's just the way I saw him. But yeah, I throw him in the same conversation as T.O., man, as he's a good dude. He doesn't have all these issues, like a lot of these other football players, but they still treat him like he's the worst person in the fucking world. And then, life isn't fair, but I don't know. I'm trying to say as less as I can, man, because sometimes I feel myself, talking too much. But yeah, man, he's not a bad dude at all. It's just the way they're portraying him.
So if it was the other things, then maybe I'd be like, I just don't want to deal with him. But with his talent and just being emotional, everybody's not built the same way. Sometimes you got to deal with this if you get production and the kind of production that you've been able to get from OBJ.
Is it possible that Rob Parker is simply horrified by the prospect of Tom Brady having Odell Beckham Jr. as his primary weapon?
I'm pretty sure that's half the reason why he's saying this, but that doesn't stop it from being true. Even if he wholeheartedly has an ulterior motive for saying what he's saying, it still is true.
Receiver?
I saw it with Randy Moss. I saw
What
it.
happened in 2007?
But the only saving grace was that Tom Brady couldn't win a Super Bowl with Randy Moss and an 18-0 squad. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the only saving grace.
So, this is how I quantify things that I hear. How did they hit my psyche? When I first heard this yesterday, just before our show, even the prospect, and it came across as a prospect, a possibility, because Odell, out of the blue, out of left field, had commented on the Instagram post of Tom Brady from Costa Rica with his kids at Sunset, the 3 kids from the back at Sunset, and Odell had weirdly commented, "Love you, brother. Love you, bro." What? Who the hell you think you is? Odell and Tom Brady? And so it started to drive the speculative. Wait a second, is this possible? And then I hear later, wait a second, this was possible a year ago, and it gave the Giants cause to pause and say, wait a second, maybe we should do this. And
Signed him to the big contract.
and they gave him the money, which I thought was a mistake for them, because I don't know that Odell fits in New York City. I don't know if he's the right fit in the Big Apple. So now, how did this hit?
Now, 2 things after he just made that point, I both agree and disagree with what he's saying. The reason why I agree with it is because I don't believe Odell Beckham is the kind of player that can deal with the fans and the media of New York. He may look like a person that loves all the attention, but I don't think that that's beneficial for him to be in that kind of, especially with that team being as bad as they are. If the team was way more successful, I think it'll be all right. He doesn't take as much pressure, I guess. If they had a quarterback, because if New York had a quarterback, he'd be the focal point of criticism and praise. But I don't believe that New York is the right fit for him. I'm not saying New England is, but I don't believe, he needs to be in a big market where, he can display his ability, but not as big as New York, man, because in New York, all eyes are really on you, man. Like, everybody pays attention to what happens with New York teams. But, yeah, it's just too much pressure in New York, man. And Odell Beckham strikes me as the kind of guy that he can be successful anywhere, but to fully utilize his abilities and keep the distractions of the world from distracting him from what he has to do, you got to cut down on all the circus, the circus. It's like when Tim Tebow went to the Jets. Really, I believe that the Jets only did that so they could build up, fanfare, and, just gain attention to their team. And I believe that's the reason why they did that. But right now for Odell Beckham, He needs to be focused on continuing to improve and being in on a team that can help him win. Right now, the Giants are not in a position to win anything. But I also disagree with that because Skip is only saying this is because he probably wanted the Cowboys to somehow trade for Odell Beckham. You know, like Skip is one of those guys who he can speak from a fan's perspective, but he can also take that fan cap off and speak from a professional journalist perspective. But right here, he's just, I believe half of him is speaking from a fan's perspective, man, because if his team had a chance to get Odell Beckham Jr., he'd be fucking ecstatic, man.
Hit my psyche yesterday. It rang true that Odell would be a much bigger success in Foxborough than he would in the Big Apple. I don't know that the Big Apple is good for Odell. I think he spends too much time in Manhattan on weeknights and off nights, and I think he's got too much going outside of football. And the best thing that could ever happen to him, as pie in the sky as this whole thing might be, as big a long shot as it might be for Belichick to pull this trade off because of the money involved, I still think that Odell would thrive at a much higher level within the confines of the culture in New England.
Yeah, I just think that you want Tom.
And also, before Rob makes his point, Rob just made this point, and I agree with it. Not everybody's the same. So you can't really compare Odell's situation or him, the person himself, to really anybody else and how they, behave in certain situations. Who knows, man? If he goes to New England, it may not be as good of a fit as Randy Moss initially was. It may actually do him more of a disservice because New England's system and the program that they run there is so strict. Odell has been able to wallow in his own selfish, childish, I'm not going to say selfish, just childish behaviors for so long. I mean, you used to live in a certain way, you kind of get used to it. And you expect every place to be that way. And it's really not. But it's funny.
Tom Brady, you want to get Tom Brady help. You saw the Super Bowl, Skip Bayless, when Tom Brady had no touchdowns, one interception, and a pick, and he looked like the Tin Man in the Super Bowl and didn't get much done.
Do you realize who he was throwing to in the Super Bowl?
But I'm just trying to realize that's what you really
Julian Edelman last year made $2.9 million. Skip, he was
All right, look, I already said that I watched the New England Patriots. I follow the Patriots. It's because since I was a kid, I respected everything that they were about and how they approach business. And I think that's how every organization should be. And I love watching Tom Brady, man. The dude's phenomenal. But I would never, ever shit on players that perform unbelievably well to bolster the claim that Tom Brady is the GOAT. I would never do that. His accomplishments alone does that. But to shit on other players to bolster his claim, no. Julian Edelman, I'm already making an argument that he possibly might have a claim for the Hall of Fame as a slot receiver. So, all this, you're doing all this for what, man? No. He has help. I mean, Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead stepped up. James White always plays big time in big games. Julian Edelman, big time. Rob Gronkowski, big time. Chris Hogan has proven he's big time. Even Philip Dorsett is starting to come out of his shell. Cordero Patterson was big last year to start the season in both the passing game, the running game, and special teams. So save all that shit, man. The offensive line had a great postseason run. The defense had a great postseason run. Come on, bro. You can't do that.
Super Bowl MVP. What are you trying to poo-poo him now?
$2.9 million. He's 32 years old, coming off a major knee reconstruction and a 4-game suspension.
And you couldn't tell the difference. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Like, this dude is fucking big time. And he did win Super Bowl MVP. Even though some people believe he shouldn't have won it, I believe that he made enough big catches in that game to keep the drive going, long enough to at least pin the Rams inside the 5 or the 10. And, like, people ignore that. Like, they just look at the numbers and they look at the amount of points that was scored and they say, oh, man, this was a bad game. Or New England's offense played bad. Sure, if you're talking about in the context of converting drives into points, sure, they didn't play so well. But when you talk about driving the ball up to the 50, getting stalled, and being able to punt the ball within the 10-yard line of the other team's territory, and you have to make them go 90-plus yards every fucking time down the field, that's very big, man. That's very big.
Mention to start the year for PED use. That's who you're throwing to. That's your MVP of the Super Bowl. Not to mention Chris Hogan, who now looks like he's on his last legs. He made a grand total of $3.5 million last year. And what's left of the Frankenstein monster Gronkowski, who did make the play of the Super Bowl on the throw of the Super Bowl from Tom Brady, 29 yards down to the 1-yard line, the one big touchdown that broke the game open. Gronk made $8.9 million last year. So that's what you're throwing to. Odell will count $21 million against the cap next year.
And if you want to talk about money, Rob Gronkowski is getting paid pennies what he would have been worth in his prime. Julian Edelman would have been worth way more than what he's making now. Tom Brady would have been worth more than what he's making now. If Odell Beckham Jr. was to come to the New England Patriots, he would be making more money than Tom Brady. Like, you talking like the $2 million Edelman's getting this? Come on, man. Come on.
You know it won't happen. Okay. There's no way that the Patriots would make that move.
So I look at the 4 receivers that Belichick has acquired that gave Brady some to a lot of help. Randy Moss had become a malcontent in Oakland. You remember this? Because I was very close to Al Davis.
Thought he was done.
Well, listen, Al Davis, who I have the highest regard for, very close to him.
And you know what? Now that they mentioned Oakland Raiders, where the time Randy Moss played there, that situation is a lot similar to Odell Beckham's situation because they had no quarterback, they had a questionable run game. It took them a while to find a running back. Questionable offensive line. I forgot when they drafted Robert Gallery. I know it was in the first round. It was supposed to be some big time draft pick, and he was a massive bust. Jamarcus Russell, massive bust. But when Randy Moss was there, it's a lot like the situation in New York.
Tried and failed with Randy Moss, and he felt like Randy just quit on them because he did. He just shut it down, and
because he was a great player. He thought that he could have been on a better team, and he was pissed that he was on the Raiders, and they were losing the way they were.
Wouldn't try. I don't know why, but Belichick was able to steal Randy Moss for a 4th-round pick. At that point, in his first year in New England, he made $3 million, did Randy Moss. They gave him his money after the 07 crescendo year, and he got 14 the next year, and then he only, that counted as bonus, then he made 6.5 the next year. That was his last year in New England. So he wasn't a big-ticket item. He should have made a lot more money than that. Of course, that's 07, 08, 09. So then I look at Wes Welker. He traded a 2 and a 7 and got Wes and a 4th back, okay?
All right. So when Wes Welker came from Miami, I didn't know who the fuck Wes Welker was. Believe it or not, the first time I ever saw Wes Welker was in a Madden commercial where they had Chad Johnson. They had Chad Johnson. No, sorry. They had Dante Culpepper on a commercial. He was playing Madden. He threw a touchdown pass to a receiver. That receiver was Wes Welker. Because I remember looking at the commercial, was like, who the fuck that guy is? Like, why is he in a commercial? Like, he wasn't in a commercial, but his render on Madden was. And that was the first time I ever saw Welker. I've never really watched him play. I didn't know anything about him. And really, in Miami, just like he was in at Texas Tech, I mean, he was a big play receiver. He just wasn't used very often. And he was more of a return guy. So when New England got him, he was supposed to be the slot receiver / number 3 guy behind Randy Moss, Dante Stallworth, and that was supposed to be the resurgence of the offense. Dante Stallworth, I believe, got hurt. If nobody knows who Dante Stallworth is, Dante Stallworth was an incredibly fast receiver. I'm talking about a guy, Brendan Cooks. Think about who Brendan Cooks is, and that's who Dante Stallworth was. So he got hurt. He missed most of the year. That's when Brady and Welker first time playing with each other opened up everything. And then when Randy Moss left, it was Welker's offense because he's already built up enough cachet with the team that he became the number 1 target. Welker was a glorified return man in Miami. They traded a 2nd-round pick for him. You know, I don't know why you would trade a 2nd-round pick for him while he was in Miami. They really didn't use him like they should have been. Or they didn't have the players or the system to use him the way they should have been. But, you know, he wasn't a big-ticket item, man. He wasn't a big-ticket item. But I believe Belichick said that he saw Welker play against New England, and he just was watching them make all these big catches on 3rd down, stuff like that, being able to find little openings. Like, yeah, but he wasn't a big-ticket item, man.
Okay, so 2-7 is pretty much a spin for Wes Welker, but Welker was making $6.1 million, so not a huge ticket item. Did he work in New York? Sure, he worked. Sure. Okay. Yep. Now, Chris Hogan was just a pure, you got to buy him on that. He was a free agent. And by the way, our guy who used to be on the show with us, Rob Ryan, congratulations to him. He got a job in Washington. But Rob Ryan said we made a big mistake when we didn't re-sign Chris Hogan in Buffalo. Remember that? Because Chris Hogan was pretty good. I don't know if he's pretty good now, but they gave him $12 million for 3 years. Okay, so that's a steal. And then now here's the key one: Brandon Cooks. Belichick traded a 1st and a 3rd. But he was still on his rookie deal. He made only $1.6 million that year with New England. Okay, so now what would it take to get Odell Beckham Jr.? You have the 32nd overall pick, the last pick in the 1st round. Then you have 2 2s. Could would you give the 1st and maybe a 2nd or maybe a 3rd, the 1st and a 3rd for Odell? Man, I would, because you don't have anything. You're just, the cupboard is bare at receiver.
I'm sure you would do that because that would only be beneficial to Tom Brady as he goes forward. But I don't know. Is Odell going to be cool with the dinking and the dunking and not Brady stretching the field and throwing the ball downfield?
Rob, Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady just played the 2 best games a quarterback played in all the playoffs against the Chargers and at Kansas City. And he finally cracked the code of a Wade Phillips in the Super Bowl, whose game plan was right there with Belichick's game plan. That was an all-time defensive battle because it was Belichick versus Wade Phillips.
But Brady didn't play that well in that game.
Who was he throwing to again? Edelman, Hogan, Gronkowski. That's it. That's it.
And what did he MVP?
Do you realize who was split out at wide receiver on the 3 most important plays when they cracked the code? Rex Burkhead.
I just don't think.
Kidding?
I don't think the Giants, first of all, would even trade OBJ to the Patriots. I think people would look at this and
it's
go,
not like they're in the same division.
no, but still, to help the Patriots and Tom Brady moving forward, to trade a player of that caliber, that would be going against the rest of the NFL.
Got a 1st and a 2nd.
Well, I would ask for a 1st and 2nd from somewhere else, from a team that has a higher 1st and 2nd than the Patriots.
Yeah. Well, what if you've decided that you way overpaid for Odell for what he did?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, if New England is going to trade for this dude, like, if I'm a GM on another team, why would I give Patriots more ammunition to dominate the league? The only reason why I would do it is that their offer is so undeniable, I can't say no to it. That's why I keep saying they need multiple draft picks. I'm talking 4 to probably 6 draft picks. You do like 1, maybe 2 first rounders, maybe 1 first rounder, 2 second rounders, a few third rounders, probably a couple fourth rounders. Like, seriously, you would have to throw some shit like that together in order for a team to want to trade Odell Beckham to your team. You would have to blow every other offer out the fucking water. That's the only way that should work. You would have to make it so undeniable that it would happen. That's why, like, I don't believe it's going to happen. Like, I'm with Rob on that. I don't think it's going to happen, but for different reasons. I don't think that the Giants are going to trade Odell to the Patriots. So.
Does for you. How many times has he made the playoffs? How many times has he carried the Giants to the playoffs?
Is it just him, or is it Eli Manning in his waning years?
Some.
Because some of it is the quarterbacks.
Don't say that, Rob, because Eli Manning is such a god. He beat New England in the Super Bowl twice. You can't say nothing wrong about Eli Manning.
Skip, we just saw Saquon Barkley have an unbelievable rookie year. Did it translate into wins for the Giants?
No.
No, because you still don't have a quarterback that you need to do some other things.
As much as I do like Odell personally, and as much as
You still don't have a quarterback, coach, offensive line, or suitable defense. There's a lot of stuff missing with New York, and moving Odell Beckham does not fix everything. Just saying.
I do agree with your premise that his heart is good. He is still one of the all-time over-emotional divas. He can go off like that, and when he goes over the edge, he's gone over the edge. He's theatrical, he's melodramatic, he's throwing fits, he's tantrums. It's hard to win with that. And
Didn't Skip Bayless throw a tantrum and get all theatrical when Kawhi Leonard didn't want to play for the Spurs anymore? And how childish he was acting when Kawhi Leonard didn't want to be there. And now he doesn't even say Kawhi Leonard's name anymore. He says number 2 for Toronto. Like, is that not childish? Is that not childish? Or when some crap happens with the Cowboys. I guess that's not childish. All right.
trust me, none of that would play in New England. The culture of stability, of discipline, of work ethic would be just what the doctor ordered for that young man. He would be like, wow, I've found a new world. He would have to blend into that world.
Well, let me give you some failures in New England where people said if people went to New England, everything would be
One is Chad Ochocinco.
Chad Ochocinco on my list.
Yeah.
Michael Floyd, Josh Gordon. Everybody said, Josh Gordon going to New England with Tom
He
Brady.
looked like he was on his last legs to me. But they got some mileage out of him.
But they didn't get what people thought.
Okay, but he was Tom's favorite receiver.
So my point is,
Listen, Josh Gordon may have only been there for a few games. He was phenomenal during those few games. I mean, his total numbers for that short stint he had, he was pretty good, man. And that one catch he had where he split two defenders to catch the ball in the end zone from like 40 yards out. I mean, and the Josh Gordon experience. I was about to say experiment and experience at the same time. The Josh Gordon experience isn't over yet because I believe he's still on the team. He's just taking a sabbatical. He may still come back. Who knows? So, I don't know. If they find a way to trade for Odell Beckham, then you got Josh Gordon coming back. Now you got Odell Beckham, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman, Chris Hogan, Philip Dorsett, Cordell Patterson. I mean, you have all these guys. And there's still one dude. I don't know if he's ever going to be anything like of significance during this run with New England, but Braxton Berrios. I watched some highlight film when he was at Miami, and he's a pretty fast dude, man. He was pretty impressive to me in college. So, hopefully they can get this dude involved. If he's still on the team. I don't even know if he's still on the team, honestly. Like, I didn't know that Terrence Williams was still on the Cowboys this year at the start of the season, but we'll see. All right, I'm about to end this because this is almost over. All right.